Well, hey, my friend, so glad you're with me on another edition of the Thriving Christian Artist podcast. Really excited to have just an incredible artist in person with me today, Jessa Brantley. Jessa, thanks for being on the podcast with me.
I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. We first met when I was living in Asheville, North Carolina. And for those that don't know, we just moved to Texas this summer, but went to church together for a while, got to see your incredible work, hear a little bit of your story. And you've been in the mentoring program now for a while. And I was just like, she is killing it. We got to have her on the podcast. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, kind of thumbnail, and then we'll jump into a little bit of your story and find out who you are even more.
I am Jessa Brantley, recently married. I have 4 daughters and I am an artist. I turn wood, specifically bowls. And I also mill, dry, and work with all locally harvested woods.
I love that. I love that. Talk about, I guess, being a woman and being a wood turner. Like, I'm sure people are like going, what? Like that? I didn't even know there were women out there that were turning wood. And of course I do. There are tons of it, but so many times, different art mediums and processes get pigeonholed as, like for me, basketry. Everybody's like, you're a guy and you weave baskets. I'm like, yeah. So how did this even come up for you as a thing that you were interested in and are now pursuing and making a living at?
Well, I originally just built and painted signs out of Lowe's grade lumber.
Yeah.
And I got into using live edge, which of course altered my Instagram algorithm. And I started seeing these videos of people turning and I was mesmerized. And it is male dominated. Woodworking is male dominated.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable at first trying to push into that. And I felt like I really stood out in a bad way, but the Lord just kept reminding me that he built me to stand out and to encourage other women to get into something that they might not normally do because of the history.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know if you've ever been, I used to teach at the John C. Campbell Folk School out in Brasstown, and they would have wood turning classes, men, women, young, old, all that kind of thing. Did you ever take a class or are you completely self-taught? How did that start emerging for you?
I am completely self-taught. I saw it and just started doing.
Wow. So did you have a family member, somebody that had a lathe, or, I mean, did you just go out and like, I'm going to go buy a lathe and I'm going to go start turning?
I harassed my husband for many months until at Christmas, he got me my starter lathe.
Wow. You're just killing it. I mean, I love it. I'm like, I have no idea how to do this. I'm going to go buy a lathe and do it. I've just heard so many stories over the years of people that are, I was turning my first piece of wood and it flew off and busted a hole in the roof and all this kind of stuff. So you are super brave. Now, did you grow up in a creative family? And you mentioned doing signs early on, but I mean, is this creativity kind of always been something that's found its way in your life? Or
it really hasn't. I never thought I was an artist. I didn't even think I was creative. I just like to do it. I am by trade an accountant. So it's like the least creative job that I think a person can have. So it was really out of bounds for me.
Wow. And then you also, I mean, you're really big into fitness too, and that sort of thing. I mean, so did that come before or after your wood turning and all that?
That came before. I have been powerlifting for 5 years.
Wow. And so I'm sure that's a huge part of keeping your strength up and developing, yourself physically because I mean, wood turning, for those folks that don't know, I mean, this is not whittling or something like that. I mean, you got to be physically fit big time to be able to do that and keep your strength, right?
Yes, there are literally stretches that I do every day before I start turning and when I take breaks, because it's surprisingly demanding on your body just to turn.
I remember when I moved to Asheville in gosh, 2009. And then I started my studio probably in 2011. And I went from, working at the church and kind of doing marketing, consulting, working, that sort of thing, to being in the studio, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week at that point down in the River Arts District. I started the studio, I want to say in June, July. And by December that year, I had such bad tennis elbow that I couldn't even really move because I wasn't used to. I didn't know about stretching. I didn't know about ergonomics of making. I didn't know about anything. But I mean, when you go from doing something as a hobby to like you're doing now, like you're in the studio all the time, that does have a big physical impact on you, doesn't it?
It does. I have a little bit of arthritis in my hands, so I have to be really pristine about my technique, because if I slack on it, I feel it. So it's even more important for me to focus and take care with what I'm doing.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so take us through the journey for you. I mean, you're a young woman. You said you've been trained as an accountant, that sort of thing. So were you working in accounting and then started this wood turning thing and started doing it as a hobby? I mean, how did this develop for you?
I started painting signs as a hobby, and we had this amazing sermon series in the spring of 2021 that you preached in called Created to Create. And it set a fire in me that I didn't even know was there, and I wanted to do it more. So I started working with some live edge lumber that I actually found on the side of the road. And I started listening to your podcasts all the time, and I bought all of your books on Amazon. I even bought a Kindle just so I could read them on my Kindle. And the more I started doing, the more I wanted to do with it. I wanted to try new things. Yeah. And when I took your master class in September, I really made the decision to go all in. And that's when I decided, I want to turn. I am fully invested. I harassed my husband until he took the hint and bought me a lathe. And from there was no choice. God he put it on my heart so heavily that I was moving forward with it.
That's so incredible, Jess. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the people out there who don't have the support of their spouse or significant other or whatever. And for you to, I've always had that from Tanya. She's always been like, go for it. We can do it. We can make it. And I mean, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it? When you're trying to step out in something that you feel like God's put on your heart.
It does, especially if sometimes I feel selfish and I'm just self-indulgent, but it's really important that he's there encouraging me. Yeah. And he doesn't go anywhere that he doesn't come home with a bowl blank or, a piece of wood that he saw. And he was like, I knew you could make something beautiful out of this. Wow. Or just investing back into me.
Yeah, that's so important. So I want to weave your other part of your brain back into this, your accounting brain, because I'm assuming that there's two parts of your brain that were probably having a little argument at some point of, I'm an artist, I got to go for this. And yet your accounting brain is, do you even know how to start an art business and how to do this? And how are you going to make money? And you got kids and the house and blah, 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 all this kind of thing. So talk about that process, because as you know, the starving artists, lie and thing that people just believe hook, line, and sinker, that paralyzes a lot of people from being able to start out and step out into what God's called them to. So how did you begin to reconcile that? You mentioned being a part of the mentoring program and all that, but I mean.
Well, my accountant brain also happened to be a single mom brain. For many years before my husband, I was a single mom of 4. And wow. I had this mentality that there was never going to be enough, and I would work myself into the ground, and anything I did for myself was taking away from them. And the artist in me was like, no, I need to do more.
Yeah.
And I had to recognize this lie that I had believed for so long, that God didn't have enough for me, and that God was calling me, but he wasn't going to provide a way. And as soon as I started replacing that lie with the truth that he made me exactly who I am, he put these passions in my heart, he gave me the skills and the desires to do this. As soon as I started, just every time I thought that lie, I replaced it, I was able to step forward more bravely. And because of the masterclass and your podcast and all of the books, my accountant brain was able to have a clear plan and a structure for how to start an art business.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you kind of ease into it, or were you just like, I'm doing this, I'm starting, like I'm going out there and I'm starting an art business? Like, what was that process like in terms of months and that sort of thing?
It was like a 1 month thing. The decision happened in February. We were really struggling to understand how we could honor and glorify God through art. And is it really a ministry? Because it doesn't look like what you think ministry looks like. And we had somebody, a total stranger, offer to invest in us after we made the decision not to start a business, because we didn't want to make an idol of it.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to forge ahead without God. And somebody said, oh, this is what you need? Okay, well, I'll buy it for you. And
wow.
It was just really clear that starting a business is where we were called to. And so in March, we signed up to be in the Created to Thrive program.
I love it. I love it. So talk about, we're right now we're recording this. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to come out on the podcast globally, but we're in mid-July right now. And so you came in March. So talk about, I guess the financial growth and business growth and just kind of how things have progressed for you. Because again, you're not somebody that had all this experience, and I've owned tons of businesses before and all this kind of stuff. I mean, you're just like got a dream, but I'm going after it. I'm following what you say, Matt. Talk about some of the practical things and growth that you're experiencing, because even the team, all of us are just like, she is killing it. Like, I'm so excited for you. So,
as soon as I became a member and started just watching and doing the worksheets, it was like one of those speed power-ups in a video game. Like, you hit it and you are gone. In just a few months, we have been able to buy over $20,000 in equipment alone. Like, we have a $12,000 CNC machine that we didn't even know how to use when we bought it, but we knew that we had to buy it, and we asked the Lord, and within a few days, the perfect one was available and for sale, and everything just worked out. And we bought this huge piece of equipment. A year ago, I was looking at my Facebook memories. A year ago, my shop was literally just a chop saw.
Wow.
And we have professional grade equipment. I just bought a lathe that I will never have to buy another lathe again.
Wow.
It is, and for several months when we were really, really busy, we even hired somebody 20 hours a week at a very, really lucrative rate of pay to work for us. And every penny that we've made, we have invested back into the business. And we're looking at a bandsaw. We are, we're like leaping forward
I love it.
because
I
of all
love
of
it.
this.
Now you mentioned I know your husband is not necessarily in the art part of that, but I mean, he's integrally involved with you in the business as well. So is he still working outside the business too? Or is it both of y'all full time, or what's that balance look like right now?
He's about 90% in. He still does a couple hours of his stuff. Like he likes to do some landscaping,
Yeah,
but that also connects us with people who have trees.
absolutely. Yeah.
But he spends a majority of his time for the business doing the things that I hate to do, like
Yeah.
milling lumber and moving
Yeah,
heavy
sure.
things. But
I had a young woman that came and interned with me several years back, and she and her boyfriend came down from I think it was Pennsylvania is where they were from, and they stayed about 3 months, and she interned with me at the studio. And but I asked him, I said, well, what are you into this basketry? He said, actually, and he was an arborist, and so he was going down and either cutting down trees or manicuring forests or things like that. And I'm like, did she start dating you because you had access to all the trees and all the bark and that kind of thing? But it's amazing, isn't it, how God brings us together as couples to be able to do things and handle different parts of the business. I mean, Tanya's does the same thing in our business. So
it is. And it also has strengthened our marriage, that the principles that I'm getting out of the mentoring program when we are having conflicts at work, that I'm able to express that, and like he'll sit down and watch a video with me, and it's problem solving and it's growing together, and it's positively impacting every area of our life.
that's so good. That's so good. I'm so stinking excited for you guys. Like this is so awesome. I remember when we met for the first time in the parking lot at New Covenant. You remember that? And
I do.
Yeah. And I was just like, this is the neatest couple. And I'm so excited about all the things that are happening for y'all. Now, I want to add just some practical things for you, because I know cash flow is coming in, business is growing, things are doing great, you're creatively inspired, all the stuff. Talk about how you're growing your business from a marketing standpoint, because I know just from what I see, and there may be more behind the scenes, but social media is a big part of what you're doing. So are you selling online? You're doing shows, galleries and stores. How's the growth trajectory right now as far as the places that you're selling your work and what's working for you right now?
When I very first started, I did one show, and it solidified the fact that I will never do another show again. It didn't work for us. And I was a little bit discouraged afterwards, but when I realized that there's so many different ways, I was like, I'm just going to try everything and see what works. Word of mouth is probably the biggest. I realized how important photography is especially, for wood, taking pictures and sharing them, and other people sharing them, having somebody buying a bowl and then sharing it. I connected with a local artist who has been buying a lot of my bowls for his personal collection, and he has referred me to several people. For me, it's mostly building relationship.
Yeah.
And I am doing a heritage festival coming up, because it is more tailored towards my key audience, as people who like cultural and local heritage type things. And I am selling some online, but with the type of bowls I turn, people like to touch them. They want to get their hands on them. So I have some small stores that I have a few in that people have seen them and then called me about custom orders. And it's a really visual thing.
Yeah. Well, you know this from being in the mentoring program, but I did the same thing. I kind of did everything at first, and then you find out the things that are working for you. And as much as, everybody's doing things online today and that sort of thing, my business when I was in Asheville was the same exact way. It was relationships that I developed, and one thing led to another, led to this, led to that, led to this opportunity. And before long, it was like I didn't need to do shows anymore. I didn't have to be selling a ton online. I was getting commissions and orders and referrals, and people come in, and it just that's how I grew my business. And everybody's different, but I love the fact that you're just immediately, getting the benefit of knowing how to do that kind of in the mentoring program, but also doing that intuitively, just kind of doing what works and doing what resonates with you. And if shows is not that, hey, don't worry about it. I'm thinking to myself, having been in Asheville, I'm like, I can't wait till you get in the Southern Highland Craft Guild and jury into that. I mean, that's gonna I'm gonna send you guys a bottle of wine when that happens. When that happens, because that would be so awesome. So, well, Jessa, for those folks that are out there, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I've been sitting on a dream of being an artist for not a month or not a few months like she did, but for years. And now I'm listening to her story and I'm seeing the incredible, growth and acceleration that's happening in her life, in her business. Why can't that happen for me? I mean, what would you say to somebody that's kind of in that situation going, I'd love for my life, I'd love for my situation to look like hers? How would you encourage them today?
I would tell them that first and foremost, they need to know that they are worth the investment. Like what God has for them is not any different than what he has for everyone else. He wants you to be blessed beyond measure, and you're worth it. So if you feel like, joining this program, if you feel like starting your business, if you feel like going full time into art is for you, then do it. Trust it.
Yeah.
God has given that to you for a reason, and he's just waiting for you to step into what he's called you to do, because he has so much to give you.
Yeah. Yeah. And to step into it even when you can't see the full picture, right? That's what I love about you.
Yes.
You're just like, I believe it. I can't see it all, but doggone it, I'm gonna go for it. So that's just so incredible. Jessa, I know that folks are gonna want to connect with you online. I hope that you sell out. I hope people buy your work and just kill your website. It'll be great. But hey, where can folks connect with you online, social, website, whatever? Just share that with the folks.
So it's all really simple. Our website is beloveddesignswoodworking.com. Our Facebook and Instagram handle, Beloved Designs Woodworking, and we can be contacted through all three of them.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, Jessa, thank you so much for being on today. I'm so proud and happy for you guys. And I know the very best is yet to come. So thanks for being on and thanks for going for it and doing what's in your heart that the Lord has on your life. So thanks for being on today.